10 calendar days. So this is like it squished two things together.
It's a public meeting, not a public hearing.
A public meeting is this meeting tonight. I posted the agenda yesterday. So that's 24 hours. A public hearing is you have to post 10 days ahead in a newspaper, a local newspaper, and, you know, in the two places around town. And that notice has to be posted 10 days ahead.
Can be approved without the 10-day hearing, and then have a second one, which is a conservation bond fund, that will refer to the 10-day public notice. Because you're absolutely right, there are two different procedures, one for spending current use monies.
Well, if we're spending current use monies to buy property, we also have to have
That's
that.
true.
Hearing is also at this meeting, but it's it's like a higher level of notice to the public so that they have a chance to either gather materials or whatever to come and speak to the issue. Do you know what
Go
I mean?
look at 3685. This talks about money that's raised by the taxpayers for buying land.
Okay, so that would be the conservation bond fund. I talked to Melissa today, and she was like, she was trying to get a hold of you, she couldn't get a hold of you. And she's like, Al had me make the copies of these papers, are you guys doing bylaws? And I'm like, well, yeah, we've just started. And she's, well, what, do I have to get the attorney, town attorney, this and that, to look over everything, make sure it's right? I go, we're just starting. So we're just starting. But I think that's probably something that's this is probably something that's gonna have to go through.
Modify.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't want to send the attorney now, because we're
No,
changing
no,
the
no.
whole thing.
No, it needs to be,
It needs to be perfect.
you need to massage it.
Exactly.
It's a draft.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We at least need to agree.
Well, I suggested to her that this was not going to be done by the end of the year. I said, this is our first meeting, we're going to have to meet on it again, we're going to have to iron it out. So
Sale of land, buildings, or both, as it applies the commission under 4114 and RSA 4114A 1
Yes.
and 2.
yeah. So that does
And in
require a
accordance-
10-day,
And in accordance with RSA.
yeah, that does
36A.
that requires the 10-day
Right.
notice,
Interesting.
which in the thing.
91A22. This is yours, Karen.
Yep, okay, so Conservation Commission recording secretary should record and transcribe meeting minutes and edit minutes as approved by the commission members at the next regular scheduled meeting. That's the normal thing. Approved minutes of open public meetings shall be kept for public inspection. This says it's at the Board of Selectmen's office. I'll back,
physical.
and there has to be a hard copy. I don't know why,
Really?
because the planning could just print it off. Selectmen could print it off. You could go in the town hall and they could print it off. If somebody walked into the,
Right.
I think there
yeah,
has to
and
be a
just said, oh, I want
has
the
to be a
meetings for
backup.
that. But it has to be,
Okay.
there has to be a paper copy of it somewhere. I think that's probably, give it another couple of years and that won't
Yeah, I
probably be the
agree.
case. Because that's,
Okay.
but anyways, I'll look into that, whether it,
Planning Board, the conservation shall review major subdivisions as defined by Pelham zoning and major site applications as they are submitted to planning and make recommendations appropriate as an advisory commission.
sounds good.
Sounds good.
Just change commission to committee.
So is it the ZBD never asked?
Zoning Board of Adjustment.
Oh, adjustments, you're right.
Approval.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
a
being
legacy-
sarcastic.
That's a
I
legacy item, Paul.
didn't hear what you said.
Ken,
That's a legacy item.
sorry, it was a slip.
Read the town
I
report. You'll
didn't
see
mean
how
to say
changed.
that.
I didn't hear what you said,
It was a slip.
Paul.
I said
so
zoning board of
You
approval.
don't want to know.
Zoning board of
You don't want to know.
adjustments. I'm sorry.
All right,
Scratch
Okay.
that from the
let's
minutes.
continue. Section,
Wait,
We can whip through a few more. Let's get
no,
Section
let's just
4.
get to that.
at the request of the board, the conservation shall review applicants, blah, blah, blah. We did that one. No, this is a different one. Review applications for the impact of wetlands and make recommendations as appropriate as an advisory commission.
Yeah, we could actually put those two together. You know what I mean? That's exactly what I wrote.
Yeah.
Inspect wetlands violation, we don't do that, code enforcement.
How do we
does.
handle, out of my ignorance, WCD? At the code enforcement
Yeah.
officer?
You don't go, has anybody ever
All
gone to
enforcement
inspect?
is done through the code enforcement officer.
Yeah.
And the
Now, what I'd like,
DES and all that stuff,
what
right?
I'd like to see him,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so how do we write that?
That's
Now
not
you-
for the
now That's
board.
beyond our purview. Now you're telling someone else what to do.
Yeah,
If
that's
you're
true.
not going to
That's
recommend
true.
to the
That's
selectmen,
right.
Yeah, I'm not
Sorry.
sure we can
So we're
put that
saying
in.
like,
All right, so
we
we're
can
just,
make a
we're going to
provision.
86?
Yep.
86, section
Yes.
5.
so we,
Section
like
five.
wetland violations, are we saying public and private
Yes.
violations? So
We don't do,
We don't do the
we don't
enforcement
inspect that,
What,
though, you know.
hang on, no. What's,
Fine,
you can recommend to the code enforcement officer something you see, as can any citizen.
So how is that going to work? Okay, now the code enforcement officer goes out and looks at it. He or she decides that, okay, this is a violation. What then happens?
DES,
It
if you're
gets-
talking something like that.
Question, and I think we could talk about that for a while. It's a two-part answer. If it's a WCD violation, DES doesn't care. They don't look at the WCD. So
Local
he
zoning.
wouldn't call WCD, he wouldn't call DES. He would have the authority to do whatever the heck he wanted. And that gets to Ken's point, that if Joe Schmo reports a wetland, what he believes to be a WCD violation, an officer would report to DES. And when DES writes letters, they copy the Conservation Commission, they copy the Board of Selectmen. I think we get those all, I used to get them as chair all the time.
Yep.
So we're covered for part of it if he does call DES because it's a wetland violation, it's within their jurisdiction. But to Ken's point, if it's a WCD violation, nobody,
I guess my concern is, I'm listening to how this
Court.
They
But who
stop.
has the right
They do
to
stop.
tell him to issue one? Selectmen?
Well, that's his
Okay.
job. That's like, do the selectmen say who the cops are going to arrest if they find somebody drunk driving? They just
I don't-
arrest the person.
Do you know, Paul? He has to check with somebody.
I'm a little bit guessing here, but I believe he would check with Joe Rourke before putting a stop work order. And to Dave's point, another good question, we don't hear these things.
Do you understand what I'm
we really don't
saying?
know. Yeah,
I hear exactly
absolutely.
what
It's
I
an
mean, a lot of
excellent
damage
question.
can be done very quickly.
Yes, sir.
Something
If they're
doesn't-
dumping loads of fill in a
Yeah.
wetland, they can
Isn't-
dump a lot of loads in 24 hours.
The
Valley
example
View.
that we just
Valley
went through,
View, that's what I was just
Tom
going to
just went
say.
through that exact example.
Put in a whole pool, mulberry.
While there was a pool issue, there was
That
also
was
the
The
duplex,
Valley Hill. thing.
Valley Hill.
The one
I mean,
Way worse
it was a
than the pool.
classic example.
Questions, we could talk about them a long time, and there's some voids, so we probably should talk about them.
I believe departmentally, they make out weekly reports.
This is what I've been told as well.
And I'll be happy to ask planning to get a copy.
That would be great if we could get on distribution. I've asked for that several times, and it hasn't happened yet, so hopefully the chair can.
I will take that, Ken.
At least for wetland ones, Al, I don't know that we need,
In the performance of their function to gather data shall not enter private property without obtaining prior,
That's right out of the book.
that's
that's
Yeah.
right out of the
Cut and
book,
dry.
landowner's permission.
Yeah.
That
That's
can
the law.
be either verbal or written, I believe.
That's-
Yeah, that's the law.
Okay.
All right, you
that's
want to stop
page-
there then, or?
we can do the next
That's
section. I
page-
think.
Want to do the? I wrote down a note, the officers are elected each year. I just wanted to check the
It says that
RSA.
here,
It's
section
there.
2, the term of the officers shall be 1 year.
Yeah,
Chairman and officers shall be eligible for reelection.
It
So
just
it's got
doesn't
it.
say it shall be
The
April.
vice chair, yeah.
yeah.
Should we put that in there?
Oh, and I wasn't sure if the officers were,
Recording
Yeah, we don't
secretary.
need-
oh, right,
Two.
yes, that's true.
I'd
mean,
say
I've
we
just
do
been
just
doing
like it
that.
has here. You have a chairman, a vice chairman, and a recording secretary.
But I don't know if we've ever specified that, you know?
No, we are
We're
now.
about to.
Okay,
Yeah, we're about to.
okay.
Okay. Page 4, going.
Wait,
Go on.
yeah, no, you're going too fast.
Only one minor change, section,
Yeah, leave off right there,
let's just stop at section 6.
yeah.
Okay? So we're page 1, 2, 3, and 4 through Article 3.
Correct. That's pretty good for one
Put
night.
that in the minutes so we don't forget, Karen.
I've got it right there, I got my one little word that says stop.
It's good for one night.
All right, with all of this,
Adjourn after
Non-public.
non-public.
second,
I'll second it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Thank you.
Cleared the house on that one.
All right, so that was Mike and Dave. Bye.